Okay, continuing with the composition. With composition, we are going to compose, which means we're taking something and putting it in something else. Here, it tells us to compose and evaluate g of f of x. So which one is going inside? Yeah, the f of x, right? F of x is going inside g of x. So when we solve these, we want to say g of f of x, we write it again, and says equal. We'll start writing the g of x, but instead of x, we're going to place f of x into x. Not next to x, we're taking away the x and putting it where x was. We're plugging in. So we're going to say 4 times 7 minus 2. 4 times 7 is 28, minus 2 is 26. We say g of f of x equals 26. So that one wasn't so bad because f of x was just one single number. Sometimes the one you're putting inside of the other one includes variables. And so you won't actually solve for a whole number, you'll just be simplifying the expression pretty much. So let's look at the second one, part A. It says compose f of g of x. So we know g of x is going inside. So we will say f of g of x equals, we'll start writing f of x. And instead of x, we're going to say x plus 2. So we'll say 5 times x plus 2 minus 7. Notice how I didn't add an x here. We take the x out, and instead of x, we place g of x. Oops. Okay, so now we need to simplify this expression, so we're going to distribute that 5. We have 5x plus 10 minus 7. And now we can simplify those constants right there. And so we're left with f of g of x equals 5 plus 3. Our next problem it says compose g of f of x. So f of x now is going into the center. So here is f of x, and we're putting it in place of x. So we're putting it in x, not next to x, not multiplied to x, not added to x. We're putting it as x or in place of. So we're going to say g of f of x equals, and we'll start writing g of x. It starts with x. So we'll start with some parentheses. There we go. The f of x is going in x. So the x basically eats up everything that's going inside. So we don't keep the x there, we just change it to what's going inside of x. Do we have any other questions on this? Or even if you want to say, I'm really confused. Okay. All right, so we can simplify this. We have 5x minus 7. So we would say, oops, plus 2. Combine the negative 7 and plus 2, and we would get 5x minus 4, no, okay. All right, next here we have the absolute value parent function. It says describe the transformation from the parent function g of x equals x plus 3 inside the absolute value minus 7. Okay, so these are transformations. We just went over these for quadratic functions. It's still the same. With a equation for absolute value, we say x minus h plus k. Just like we do for quadratics, the only difference is there is no squared. And instead of parentheses, we now have absolute value. Okay, so which letter represents 3? H. So we can say H equals 3. But H is the one that's moving left to right. So is H moving left 3 or right 3? We're actually moving left 3. So remember, anything inside, an insider always lies. Insiders always lies. Or X lies about his friend H. All right. So if X lies, then H is not 3, H is negative 3, and we're moving to the left. Okay. What about K? Are we moving up or down? Yeah. So we're going down 7. And those are our two transformations. There's no number where A is, so that's it. Next, it says write an absolute value equation that has been translated right 2 units and down 3 units. So which letter moves right? A, H, or K? H, right? So we know that's going to be H. And which one moves down? Yeah, K. So we need to use that equation I wrote at the top. It doesn't say anything about getting wider or narrower, so we don't have an A value. So I know the 2 is going to go here and the 3 is going to go on the outside, but what are my signs? So are we going to have positive or negative 2? We're moving right 2, but remember X lies. Negative 2, good. And K, we're going down, so we need a negative. Next question is asking us to graph the function and describe the transformation to the parent function. So before we graph, let's talk about the transformations. Let's label our A, H, and K values. And let's also label our vertex. So looking at this equation, what is the A value? 2. And what is the H value? Remember, X lies. Positive 3. And what about the K? Negative 3. So if my vertex is HK, what is my vertex? 3, negative 3. Good. Oh, wow, I wrote down the wrong number because I was looking at the last one. K is positive 4. Why did I say negative 3? Sorry. 4, 3, 4. Okay. Let's go ahead and start graphing our vertex at 3, 4. I'm just going to put in my parent function right here. Parent function goes starts at the vertex at the origin, and then goes in both directions with a slope of 1, 1. So now with my a being 2, my slope is 2. So how many up or down should I go? We should go up 2 and over 1. And then for your other side, you're going to go up 2 and left 1. All right. I think mine's just a little crooked, but it goes something like that. Okay, now looking at our transformations, how many did we move up or down from our original vertex? Our transformations had us move up 4, to the right 3, and our a value of 2, did it make us go wider or narrower? Yeah, and that is called a vertical stretch. Remember, stretch means we're stretching up, like our first morning stretch, and you're like, ah. And a vertical compression means we're compressing down towards the x-axis. This will be a vertical stretch. Any questions so far? All right, quadratic parent function, y equals x squared. Write the quadratic equation that has been translated right 2 units and down 3 units and stretched by a factor of 2. Okay, remember, we write our quadratic functions usually in vertex form. So if we're going right 2 units, what letter is that? A, H, or K? Not K, H. And which one is going down? Okay. And then which letter is going to be stretched? A. All right, so we already know which variables are which. We can go ahead and fill in our equation. All right, and don't forget x lies. So if we're going right 2 for H, are we going to have negative or positive? Negative, good. All right, go ahead and do the next one on your own. And when you're ready, go ahead and check your equation with mine. We should have y equals 2/3 x plus 6 squared. Oh, why did I write plus k? Plus 1. There we go. Okay, any questions? All right, let's move on. It says graph if needed. If you want to graph it, you can. I'm not going to. Okay. Okay, our next section is on domain and range.